early in January we got going. We were really disappointed as a program going on winter break, and you know losing to Ryder, beating Clarion, losing to Ryder, and then everybody's gone for break, right? So we didn't. It was like a bad taste in our mouth, and then we get back in January and we started pushing really hard. The guys were right back to work and back to business, and they're off of school, so it's kind of nice. You have a little extra time with them to do some extra workouts and some extra things, and just a little more where we can just totally solely focus on wrestling and training. And then we started to build some momentum, and then Princeton, Penn on the road, we wrestled well both of those matches. The guys started to, I think, get some momentum, and then going up to the Cornell, we felt like, this should be a program we got to get after them. We're gonna have to get after them, and everybody has to do their job, and we're gonna have to do some things that people don't expect us to do. We're gonna have to win some matches that we're not expected to win. But I really felt like, as this year has progressed, these guys have really began to believe in themselves more and more. And really, that's all you can ask for as a coach. You want these guys taking the mat and expecting to win, and expecting to fight through positions, and expecting to get guys worn down and expose them. And I felt like we did a really good job in a lot of different areas in that match, and guys are scoring bonus points. Guys are fighting for points when they're losing or they're down. So I don't necessarily think like we went in there like, oh, we're gonna win, but I do feel like we had confidence and we had a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, and these guys wanted to get the job done.
Sure. So that obviously I'm sure was a big moment. But if you look at the rest of this season, the 25-26 season so far, what other moments stand out to you as big and impactful moments?
Um, hmm. Well, I think last year when we went out to Vegas, we were super disappointed. We didn't have a guy wrestle on the second day, so we didn't have a guy make it to the second weigh-in, right? So it's a 2-day tournament. It's a tough tournament.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. The Cliff Keen invite's always a tough tournament. But I remember meeting with the team that night in the hotel, and I was like, we're in uncharted territory here. I've never been at an event where we weren't competing in the second day. I mean, this is craziness. I just I didn't know what to say. So we I give the guys a lot of credit for the team last year. They they took that to heart, and they finished strong throughout that throughout the finality of the year. I mean, these guys, they got after it, and they kept pushing, and we ended up with a good amount of qualifiers. So we wanted to go back there. We wanted to go back there, and we had four guys make it to the second day this year, so which was pretty cool. We were a little shorthanded. We only entered seven into the tournament, but four out of seven made it to the second day. So that was like a turning point. I think the guys really felt like, okay, this is a little bit of an accomplishment. It's not much, but it's a little bit of an accomplishment, and they really started to gain traction from that. So, the seniors they've had a lot of good moments. Both of our captains, Caesar and Nick, they've done some really special things. Keeping the guys together. So, they're really special guys, and I think they're super proud of being Ivy champs. It's a really big deal in the Ivy League to win that title. These guys are forever. They're going to be heroes around here because we got that done. And we have a lot more to do, and we want to do it, and we're focused on doing it. We're back in there, getting after it already, but they have a lot to be proud of. And but I would say, like, a highlight, obviously beating Cornell. That was super exciting. We had fans in the crowd, and guys that are alumni that had tears in their eyes because they never thought that Columbia would beat Cornell while they were still alive. So that was a really, really cool moment. So it's exciting. It's exciting. 40 years they hadn't done it, and it feels really good. It feels like we accomplished some things, but obviously you're always greedy, and you always want more, and we're thinking, what's the next thing we have to do? What's the next thing we can do? And how can we get better? And we want these guys to feel like that in life too. You know, you never be satisfied. There's never a time to rest and be satisfied. You always got to be pushing for more. And that's what we're getting these guys focused on and getting them on track right now to do.
I love it, Donnie. You get me freaking fired up.